and today we're going to talk about the lies that society makes us tell. On the sofa this week, I'm joined by...
Tia. Aliya.
Raleigh.
Have societal pressures ever made us lie about anything?
I think I can say a unanimous one for a lot of viewers and also people of Earth in general. I think the one I'd say is like probably having to sneak out of home. So I'd say probably lying to your parents, like if you wanted to go to like a party, maybe they didn't really approve of or something like that. Society would push you because you know like, oh, all your friends are going, or at least they're gonna be lying too. So like you want to join in on the lie in order to you know go to that type of event.
My parents were kind of like overprotective, so
Same.
so yeah, it was like kind of hard to have a social life and have that, but also like please my family. So just in terms of like parties, I remember telling my family like I really want to go to this party. Like I was a bit young, so it was like first time, and they were like really protective, and they were like, we're gonna drop you off and da.
Mine were the
And I was
exact
like, just don't. But like that's the only way I could go.
Want to know exactly who's going, where it is.
Yeah,
what,
and I had to like downplay it. Like I had to downplay it, like, oh yeah, it's just my friend, but no, it was like
It was
some
the same.
guys, like
it was the same as like some random person's like house and nobody like had ever been to.
Yeah, so we got there, like my parents dropped me off, and then like some guys came out, they were like smoking, and I was like, this is not great, but they still let me go, which I'm surprised at. But it wasn't like the best, like but I kind of lied. But
I was gonna say like defo lying about who you're with. You know, going with people that they don't know. Like every time I wanted to go out and my parents were a bit like, who are you going with? I'd always say like someone that they knew. Like, oh,
That's
my cousin. My cousin's there. Because me and my cousin are like really close in age, like same year. So we've always been best friends. And my mum's known her since she was a baby. So I'm always like, oh yeah, so-and-so's there. So that means that like it's fine. She'd be like, oh, well, if she's going, then you can go.
Or you'd say like a name where it's somebody who your parents know is like really sensible. And like, you just, even though they're not going, you'd be like, oh, well, they're there. And be like, oh, if they're going, then...
oh, well, it should be fine then. Because if their mum's letting them, then you can go. When really you're like not going with them at all. You could be going with them, but you're also going with like a way bigger group. Or like they're not as responsible as like the parents think they actually are.
Yeah. So feeding on from that, do you think that people want to sort of conform to like societal norms and things like that? Do you think people want to sort of not stray away from, you know, societal prejudices and things like that?
Yeah, I'd definitely say 100%. Like I think everybody wants to kind of be included or feel like comfortable to a certain degree. So I think they have like a set standard of what the cool thing or like kind of like what's like the norm. A lot of kids, like that's what they crave, especially like a young age, you know, like when we're talking about the clothes thing, that's like a major proponent for dressing the way you dress like back in the day and stuff like that. So I think a lot of things we're kind of doing to like be sociably like approved, you know? Drinking
and smoking and drugs.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like a lot of people, I know a lot of people that do, you know, do all those things, but I don't really want to.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes I can see why people do get pressured into it because it's hard to say no, because you want to sort of make you think like, oh well, all young people are supposed to do stuff like this.
Yeah, I definitely agree with like what you're saying with like the smoking and drinking thing. I mean, if you surround yourself with a lot of people like that and like you think that's like a normal thing, even though we've been kind of raised and seen like how it's detrimental to the body, you may still indulge in that just because of where you are. Now, another thing I do want to add to that, which is a little bit deeper, is like I think like innately we're kind of designed like that too, because if you think about it, we're kind of like raised to like, you know, obviously go to school and then get jobs, right? Yeah. So I think that's like a societal kind of like pathway as well. And like once somebody kind of breaks that path, they're looked upon as like maybe just different, you know, like there's someone that's like deciding to like not go to school, like they're usually looked down upon until they make it. So it's kind of like I think like a design of humans.
Yeah, I think especially with drinking, I think in like British culture it's really like it's really important. Like it's a good way to like feel included, and especially if you're young. And I remember when I went out with like at the time one of like my best friends, she was drinking and I don't drink. We went out to like a party or something and she was like, just drink. And it's like, she's supposed to be my friend and like, she really needed me to drink for her to feel, just so we could feel like we were like together. But it's like, you don't need to, like, so no, I didn't lie and do something that I didn't feel comfortable with just to please people. Like, it's not right to do that.
It's very common, like especially at uni, like because you've moved away from home and you meet so many different people. Everyone's like, woo, we live on our own now, let's just go crazy and do whatever we want. Because of that, I think a lot of people are pressured to do other things that they've never done before. They may have not ever thought about doing in the first place. And because of that, you're going to meet so many people with loads of different hobbies and stuff that they might pressure you into doing, like drinking.
Society makes us sort of believe that all these things are sort of normal, but another big one is sexuality. Do you think society makes the whole process of people coming out bigger than it needs to be?
I can't really speak on it because I don't know that experience, but to me, if you're straight, you wouldn't come out, so it's just like, it's just their sexuality, like, it's just, you know, what they like to do, so you don't need to tell anyone, like, just do what you like, it doesn't need to be big.
The whole, like, coming out process is just silly, because, like what you said, like, you don't come out if you're straight, so why should you come out if you're, like, any other sexuality? Like, it doesn't make sense. You just prefer what you prefer, and that's that. Like, it shouldn't be a big thing, because in society it's like traditional that everyone's like straight, for example. Like, that's like the majority of people, that people are often scared as to what their like parents might think or what society might think, and that's why it puts a spin on it and makes it more of a big thing, when really people should just be able to like come out as you would as if you were straight. Like, it shouldn't be a big deal in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what they're saying. The only advantage the main advantage I see having a culture like that is like safe, like kind of making a more inclusive culture. But like my country is specifically like homophobic, because like we're a very Christian country, so we don't really like have like different sexualities at least shown. And like I know there are definitely people in my country that are like of different sexes and stuff, so I think like they might feel like a little bit oppressed because it's not kind of as accepted. So I think from that standpoint, having it where it's kind of inclusive or a little bit more accepted is a little bit easier for certain individuals.
I think like it's just, you're more than, you know, who you sleep with. Like, that's not your identity. Like, yes, it's what you like, but it's just like, you know, for pleasure. Like, you don't really need, it's not you, do you know what I mean? So I don't think people need to really it can obviously come out, but I don't think it needs to be a big part of like their identity yet. To the
big
point.
thing. Do you think it's because in the past it was probably more uncommon, and then as we progress through like time, it's more common for people to be more like expressive of like who they are and how they are? Do you think in the future it'll be like a big less of a deal, our generation especially? Do you think when like we start to have kids and like grown up, do you think by then it'll be the same?
I think it'll always be a bit like taboo, because it's not the majority. But you know, even nowadays, like when people talk, and I don't know if you say your girlfriend, and then they're like, no, my boyfriend. Like, it's just like normal. You don't need to have a big conversation about it. Like, it's just.
Obviously, because Aliya, you're half Tunisian. In Tunisia, how would that be viewed, some of these topics, compared to the UK? Would the society, how is that different there to here?
A lot of things are different, like drinking, homophobia, like, you know, cross-dressing and things like that. Obviously, it does exist there. Like, there are people who are gay, there are people who, you know, dress a different type of way, and there are definitely people who drink, but it's just, it has to be done, like, kind of down low. And it's just like, people would look at you a bit like, oh, they're like an alcoholic.
Right.
Or in terms of like homophobia, yeah, you couldn't openly, you know, do any sort of acts.
And in Raleigh, yourself, living in both Canada and the Bahamas.
I grew up most of my life in the Bahamas, so like it's, as she said, it's not necessarily illegal, but it's like something that's not accepted. So it's kind of looked upon as like a taboo kind of thing. So there are definitely people that identify with that like different sexualities or cross-dressing and stuff like that as well. But it's not something that like is like overtly like shown, because like it's almost like it's just not looked upon as good. But in terms of like drinking and stuff, like in our culture, we don't, like, if anything, I think we're probably more like alcoholics if anything than that, because like we definitely have a lot of people that drink and stuff like that. But I'd say sexuality is like probably the one thing that's like iffy, like in my country, and like I don't really know where we would go in the future regarding that. Yeah. And also, I mean, I did go to Canada, and I feel like Canada's a lot like here, like where it's like a lot more accepting. They have like laws to protect different sexualities, different people, and I think like that type of culture breeds like a lot of like more inclusivity and like doesn't have the kind of like hatred towards any group of people.
Have any of you ever experienced double standards yourself?
There's this guy at work, and he like openly discusses like all the people he sleeps with, and just like you know, he likes to just brag about it, and like the only reason he feels comfortable to do that is because of of what society tells men, like that is okay, and like he clearly feels like that is like a source of like his manhood and stuff. And And, like, yeah, we joke about it and stuff, but I know that if that was a girl, like, it would not be the same. And, like, I've even heard, like, some of the guys say, like, oh, that girl, like, you know, sleeps with a lot of people, like, and it could only be, like, what, 2? And it's just, like, you know, it's not right.
Yeah.
It's not right.
Yeah.
I feel like as well, especially in secondary school, like words such as like slut and stuff just get pushed
Banded around
around
a
from
bit,
like without
bit
really
too,
realising the
meaning of it.
real meaning of it. Yeah, like and like boys are just like slut. I'm just like, do you even know what it means? Like, do you even understand the meaning of it? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But there's plenty of like girls out there who do get called them kind of names, even though like they've not even like slept with that many people. Say for a girl example, they might sleep with like 8, right? They would be called a slag for that, wouldn't they? Like realistically, even though they really shouldn't
More
be.
than likely, yeah, they would.
Whereas if a man had slept with like 8 people, they would literally be like, what's
Celebrated.
the word? Yeah, like celebrated by it. That they'd be like, oh, player. Like, I feel like a lot of girls have experienced that, where like some girls might be like afraid to even say the body count because they just feel like the men are instantly going to be like, oh, well, I don't want to be with you then because that's disgusting. You've been with like 3 people, even though it's like 3 people's like around the like normal average. But whereas boys would be like showing it off and be like, oh, I've slept with this many people, I've done this many things.
So it's sort of like society makes it more acceptable for men to sleep with loads of people than women.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Sometimes I think it's also women who like kind of shame other women. Like, obviously it's bad when anyone does it, but it's like when another girl does it, it's like you have the same experience. Like, why are you gonna make it worse?
One another, like,
Exactly.
doesn't make sense.
Have you ever experienced any sort of double standards?
Definitely say to the one they're talking about. Like, there's definitely double standards in that, because I think everybody should be kind of free to do what they want. Now, I think it is a little bit different between girls and guys, though, only because I think for guys it's a little bit more of a challenge to achieve like a higher body count than a girl. That's the only reason I would say like it's a little bit different, but I don't agree with like somebody calling someone a slut or anything like that. Like, you're free to do whatever you want, but I guess that would be the only reason I see why someone would do that. But there's no reason to have derogatory terms anyway. But I would say, yeah, that would be the main one, and then the other one would probably be like a man if he wanted to stay at home, you know, like compared to a woman if she wanted to stay at home.
Yeah, that's
like
a big one.
If a woman wants to stay at home, like she's celebrated, like it's acceptable. Whereas if a man wants to do that, it's looked down upon, you know. He doesn't look strong. He doesn't look like he's providing.
It's the same with jobs, because women obviously go into male-dominated industries, like say lawyers or like a pilot or something like that. But then if a man wanted to be like a primary school teacher or a nurse or something like that, it'd be the exact same.
I think it's just interesting. I like did some volunteering at this primary school, and I was like working with this man. He was the deputy head teacher, and then the head teacher was a man, and then every other teacher that I met was a woman. And it's just a bit like there is a bit of double standards there of like, even though it is a female industry, it's still in those like higher roles it's still men. And it's interesting that it's we would say primary school is like a caring role, but it's still men in the top.
And then we spoke briefly then about body counts. So what do you think would be like is there an unacceptable number for you?
I think you can't say past this number is unacceptable, because life doesn't work like that. It's not a number specifically. It's all about like how old you are. Like, it's all about why as well. Like, I just feel like you have to talk about it and you have to see what they say. If they have this attitude of like, I sleep with anyone, I personally wouldn't like that. Like, I wouldn't appreciate that. But if you're saying, I've had like this many relationships and that's how, okay, fair. Like, to me, that's how I would judge it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with her ethos, to be honest. Because like for me, that's kind of where I'd go to like dating or just like sleeping. Like if the person is like obviously has body counts, but like they've been in relationships, I find that more acceptable than someone like if you just go to Miami and like you're just cracking up bodies, like that's like kind of crazy to me, kind of thing, So I think it's definitely like two different things, and you said like age and stuff too. So it's definitely depends, I think.
Because imagine if they're only 20 and they've got like over 60, like what you must have been doing every day, like what?
Do you think people lie a lot of the time?
Maybe sometimes.
Do you think that's quite common that people just lie?
I feel like more guys.
More guys lie. I think girls lie making it go down, but
And
I
then
think
guys do it.
men lie to go up.
But men lie to,
girls will definitely lie about it, but by going down, because they know as people that boys don't really like being with girls, like relationship wise, who've had like high body counts, so girls might naturally just go, oh yeah, I've only slept with like one or two, like that's my body count. But like a lot of girls do that, because I know quite a few girls that like have said that, and I know that it's not true. Whereas boys will definitely be like, oh yeah,
play it up a little bit.
10, 20, maybe 30.
Yeah.
Like just to kind of like, I mean, even on Love Island when they do the body count things, some of the boys literally have like over 100. That like, what is it? The like challenge where they kind of like show the boards of like different questions about themselves, and some of them literally do have like, some of them claim that they've slept with like over 100 people when they're like 26, and I'm just like, how is that even possible? Like seriously, like work it out. Like how is that possible? So yeah, like I've definitely feel like some men do lie. I mean, not everyone will, but some definitely do. Because there's no way I believe that 26-year-old Adam from Love Island slept with like 30, 40, over 100 people. Like, there's absolutely no way.
The media and programs like that sort of promotes double standards within men and women. So a man will say, I don't like, say, girls that aren't skinny. And then a girl will say, well, I don't like guys that are under 6 foot. A man can't be picky, but a woman can. Do you think that's true? Do you think it's more men being picky towards women or women being picky towards men? Do you think they both sort of balance each other out?
I think naturally, like Riley said, like women do have more choice. Like, you know, it's harder for a man to get a girl, but it's really easy for, you know, any girl to get any guy, really. And I think it's just that because of that, it's easy for them to be picky, because if you've got 4 people in front of you, you can say, you know what, not him. Like,
social media is definitely like glorified certain things or like that people may want, but ultimately I think it's like innate, you know? That has to be something you feel first. So I don't know, I studied like a little bit of biology, so I think those type of characteristics from a female and a men's standpoint like promote something like for them. So like girls generally like guys that are of course 6 foot, because he obviously looks like he could protect.
I feel like girls are just naturally more picky because like even with the whole like ick thing, like boys don't really have icks, but like girls can have a list of like stuff that they don't like that boys do. And like it's all over TikTok, people saying like, oh, what the icks of each other are and stuff like that. And I feel like girls
there are some funny ones
naturally picky of just little things, like the way they walk up the stairs and that. Like I just feel like girls can literally just be like icked out or like dislike, like they just don't like little things that like people can do, which can make them more picky. But like boys can have icks as well, but I feel like girls have just like taken it and just made it even bigger than it actually is.
Do you think social media promotes double standards more than like say TV and the media? Because on social media there is a lot of like, you go into a comment section on anything and there'll be a lot of men calling women certain names and there'll be a lot of women calling men certain names. So you know, if a woman said, oh well, you're short, if a man says to a girl, oh, you're really fat, awful, then a woman says to a man, you're really short, mocking his height. So they're both bad as each other. Do you think in like social media that it's like amplified that more?
I think it just depends like what type of videos you watch, and I think you know, when that Andrew Tate came out, it's really scary, because I was talking about it with my sister and her husband, and it's like, I think it's called like echo chamber. So like if you watch like one video, it'll like send you down this like rabbit hole, and then soon you'll just be in this like chamber of just everything that's around you in social media is just affirming what you already believe. And it can even get like to the point of like more extreme beliefs. So it's like Andrew Tate, you know, that keeps coming up if you've watched, say, you know, something just slightly a little bit.
TikTok does do that. You watch one video,
it's
you'll
dangerous.
stay on the video for a certain amount of time, and then the rest of your few page will just be like that one person or that one video.
And that's what I mean, like my sister's husband's not at all like, you know, misogynistic or just anything. He's really respectful, but like Andrew Tate is coming up on his TikTok, and maybe it's because he's a young man and he might be interested, or maybe it's because he's just watched something, you know, for a second, and then it goes down that rabbit hole. And if like people are young, it's going to further those double standards, you know, and those incorrect beliefs.
How do you think young people can help reduce double standards within society?
I think it could get better, and I think how it could get better is just by calling people out, like, you know, saying, you know what, don't talk to women like that, you know, you wouldn't do that if it was a man, or vice versa. So, you know, just to really keep people accountable for what they believe and what they are, you know, making others believe.
I feel like just everyone just needs to become more accepting as well. Instead of people just sticking to like the status quo and thinking, oh no, that's wrong, that's right. People just need to kind of generate their own opinions instead of following these like rules that haven't even been set. They're just kind of there from when people have grown up being like from an older generation. People just need to kind of step away from it and just start generating their own opinions and start standing up for people. All people need is just to be accepted and supported. Like, that's all they're asking for. They're not asking for a big scene. All they want is just to like feel welcome in like their own area. Like, that's it.
Do you think social media plays a big part in that? Because you'll see somebody on social media make a video that doesn't really follow like what society considers to be normal, and then you'll look at like again the comments on it, and it will just be like horrendous like comments one after the other.
It can be positive and negative, because obviously people can post what they want, which is great. They can be themselves, but at the same time, it is like, it's the comments. Like we said in a previous episode, like it's hard to like filter out the comments and like try and regulate what's good and what's bad and what's positive and what's negative. So like it's good in the way that you can express yourself and be creative and kind of like find communities as well that you kind of fit into and relate to. But it's also negative in the fact that people can just say what they want. If they've got a negative opinion, they'll say it. Negative view, like they'll mention it in the comments. And sometimes it can be hard to escape it all, and sometimes negative comments can like be more than the positive ones, which is a sad thing.
People just have to come to the conclusions that sometimes you can't please the masses, you know? Like, if you believe in something, like, go with that. Like, that's for you. Like, you can't skew whatever you want for someone else, you know? Because that's when you're not authentic to yourself, and you might be hindering, like, your goal or whatever as well. So I think overall, like, with social media, there's kind of like a bubble like of acceptance, and some people tend to break that, and that's how a lot of industries tend to grow, you know, like music, everything. You have to start a trend by yourself, and then some people might gravitate, some people might not. That's how it is. This thing here. So I've never had a one-night stand. I've broken up over text, and what's the last one? I've had sex on a boat. Oh shit, it's broken. So I feel like I'm incriminating myself. So those two were right, actually. The breakup one.
No, because you lived in the Bahamas, so like the sea and the
it makes sense, right?
Yeah, I thought. Well,
I mean,
I know. I thought he was just trying to come up with like a really good one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel you. But so the breakup text was like 14. So that makes excuse, right? Like that's acceptable.
I dislocated my arm. I hate spicy food, and a guy broke up with me on my birthday.
Definitely love spicy.
This is spicy food. I love spicy food. I don't hate spicy food. Oh my god.
Wait, so I got it right?
Yeah, you got it right.
Oh, yes, come on.
To be fair, we were just young. It was like year 7, year 8 or something. But he did break up with me on my birthday. Like, you could have just waited until the next day. Like, it's not that deep, but... And my mum dislocated my arm when I was younger. Apparently, like, I was, like, walking, and then she was like, come on. And then she just pulled my arm out of its socket.
My truth and a lie. I slightly cheated on my media exam so I could get into uni. I've only been broken up with once. The rest of the times I've been the relationship ender. And I got so drunk in Liverpool that I couldn't walk in a straight line at 3 p.m. and couldn't get the train back.
That's on too,
The cheating on the media exams, the lie.
I thought that was going to be true.
Yeah. No, the other two are true because they're a bit... I thought that would be obvious because they're a little bit more like descriptive. But yeah, that's right. Like, I haven't cheated on an exam, but the other two are true.
I feel like you wouldn't put that on camera too.
Yeah, I know. The university will see it and kick me out. So.
What was the last one?
Me getting so drunk in Liverpool.
Okay, tell us about that.
Yeah.
It was literally last week. Yeah. Oh, was it last week? It was literally Saturday, right?
Okay.
Well, Saturday. So I got invited to this like launch party of this new restaurant, like bottomless brunch thing. So I was just like, oh yeah, I'll come, bring +1. I got there.
Went a bit.
And
Mad.
like it was unlimited prosecco for 100 minutes. So obviously I was like, yeah.
That's a lot of minutes.
Yeah, it was a long time. And even though they said 100 minutes, it was still going on like until the end of the event. So I was just like, oh my god, people just kept on coming and just topping it more and more and more. So I was just like, we may as well.
Yeah.
So we just kept on drinking it. And we thought we were fine until we got outside. And as soon as we stepped outside, it just hit us. And we were like, oh my god. I was literally like, I'm surprised I even got to the train station. I was literally just like wobbling all the way to the train station from the... Luckily it was in the centre, so it was quite close. But like, I don't know how I got there.
I have nearly killed my friend's dog twice. I'm allergic to grass. And I've had 5 relationships.
Those are actually really good.
Oh, that's hard.
The lie is that I've had 5 relationships.
Really?
Yeah.
You said it so confidently.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just thought like 5 would be a lot, but
I did think 5 was a lot.
I was like, yeah.
Do you want me to explain?
Yeah.
So the dog one, it was 2 separate instances. The first time it was my friend's, I think it was my friend's 18th, and it was at his house, and the dog was there, and I'd had a bit to drink. So I was trying to feed the dog like food, and I was trying to give it a crisp.
Oh my god.
So I gave the dog the crisp, and it ate the crisp, and then it started choking on the crisp and like keeled over. So I thought I'd killed the dog, but then it spat it out. So that was the first time, and the second time I stood on it. But because it's like a little thing, I stood on its back leg, and I was like, "What's that?" And it was like the dog jumped up. So,
Like you have some.
so
Yeah, it's like a proper victim, this dog.
So yeah, I don't go around to his house anymore just because like the dog. It's like 3rd time.
To be fair, my dog stole my entire Easter egg collection last year and ate it all.
Is it still?
And
it's
it's still
still
alive.
with us?
So
It's not
yeah, no, they're not allowed. It's literally poisonous. He like knocked it over off the table and just scranned it all of it, all my chocolate eggs, and it's still alive. So God knows how, but I think they're pretty like invincible dogs are.
I was gonna say,
Buddy.
Buddy, yeah.
buddy. Well,
Yeah.
He's a champion.
okay, so to wrap up then, do you think that society makes us lie about certain things that we do, just so we can sort of fit in with what society thinks is normal?
Yeah, I think especially when you're young, I think it's just kind of like you just do it because you really want to fit in, and like Riley said, like the need to fit in and the need to be like, you know, included is like a really biological need. So yeah, I think it's really like understandable that people will lie.
I definitely agree with what Aliya says. Like, I think at a certain age, like, people definitely want to conform a lot more. But I think as you get older, like, it's more of a choice as to, like, if you want to go with the lie or if you just want to be true to yourself.
When you're young, especially in secondary school, it's such a toxic environment. You just want to be accepted and you just want to be known, to be honest. Like, you just want to be like normal like everybody else.
Yeah.
But I feel like as you get older, you just especially come to uni, there's so many different people and so many different styles, so many different backgrounds, that everyone's different, and like I don't really feel like everyone's trying to like follow a specific stereotype. I feel like everyone's like a lot more accepting compared to when you're in like
Definitely.
secondary school.
And do you think society will change, or do you think it will just be like this forever in terms of having these norms and having these double standards?
Hopefully it becomes a bit more of a balance, and hopefully people just naturally become more accepted over time. Obviously, I feel like being straight and stuff like that is going to be the majority still in the future, in my opinion. But I'm still hoping that it balances out just that little bit more and people just become that little bit more acceptive.
I think certain things definitely will change, like, because we have a lot of movement towards, like, obviously sexuality, and a lot of countries are adopting that and stuff. But I think in the one thing we talked about a lot, where, like, kids are lying to their parents, or the body count thing, I don't think the body count thing is really going to change. Like, I feel like the types that people have and like body count and stuff, like, I think that's like just something to stay, because if you see from like years ago, it's always been like that. So I personally don't think that's going to change.
Yeah, I agree. I think people are always going to lie to their parents. I think people are always going to lie to, you know, to fit in, and I don't really think that's going to go away. In terms of like double standards, I think that can change, but like I said, only if people really are held accountable and like really want to change as well.
Thank you very much for watching this week's episode. Do let us know what you thought, and we will see you next week.